Hi everyone, in this project we are diving into something called the PBL WebQuest. This is a really cool teaching framework that takes the internet and turns it from just a giant encyclopedia into a tool for solving actual real-world problems. So let's get into it. Think about this for a second. We've all seen it happen, right? You may have some experience doing research online, but what were you actually doing? So often it just becomes this digital scavenger hunt. Find this date, look up this definition. So it's pretty passive and it uses this incredibly powerful tool for justice, finding basic answers instead of sparking some real critical thinking. And this slide really nails the difference. On one side, you've got that classic scavenger hunt, finding facts, looking up answers. It's all very teacher directed. But on the other side, the WebQuest completely flipped the script. So it's about solving messy and complex problems, constructing something new, and also it's about empowering a student to lead their own investigation. So it is absolute difference between just consuming content and actively creating something with. So that brings us here to the PBL webcast. So when you put those two ideas together, this is what you get. It is a project where students use that structured guided format of a webquest to get their hands dirty with a real authentic problem. It's really the perfect blend of guided inquiry and meaningful problem-based learning. Okay, to really get how this works, we need to kind of pop the hood and look at the part. Let's break down the essential autonomy of any really well-designed web quest. So every single web quest is built on these 6 pillars. So you can think of this as blueprint, right? You've got the introduction, the task, the process, evaluation, conclusion, and teacher's page. So each one of these plays a super specific and important role in guiding the students through their journey. First up, the introduction. This is all about setting the stage. So you are not just handing out an assignment, you are creating a whole world for them to step into. So this is where you build a compelling story and give students role. It makes the whole thing feel so much more real and important. Next is the task. It's got to be direct, super clear, and leaving zero room for confusion. You tell them right up front, your task is to design a sustainable habit for Mars, or your task is to create a presentation for City Council to solve our recycling problem. So the goal is clear from the get-go. Then you have a process. This is the how to the roadmap. It lays out the steps students will take to get from the problem to the solution. And this is not just a free for all search. It is guided by a specific inquiry model to make sure actually they are building those research and thinking skills. And we are going to look at that model in just a minute. Transparency is huge. And that's where evaluation comes in. This is the rubric. From day one, students know exactly how they are going to be graded. It clearly defines what success looks like, which lets them focus their energy and even check their own work as they go. Then there's a conclusion. This is the debrief moment, and it's more than just a summary of what they did. It is a time for them to pull all the threads together and reflect. It pushes them to think about the bigger picture. Where do we go from here with what we've learned? It brings it all back to the real world. And finally, number 6, the teacher's page. You can think of this as a behind-the-scene lesson plan for other teachers. It's got the learning standards, the objectives, instructions, everything another educator would need to use your WebQuest in their own classroom. It makes the whole thing a shareable, reusable resource that can help way more than just your own students. So let's look and see what actually powers this whole student-led inquiry thing. So the engine is usually one of the 2 models. For most students, you've got the Big 6, which is the really solely the 6-step research framework. But for younger kids, that can be a bit much. So it's simplified into the Super 3, plan, do, and review. And the point, both of them provide a crucial structure for learning. What is it we are actually trying to do? Then you brainstorm how you're going to find the information. Third, you go find it. Fourth, and this is the key, you actually use that information, you read it, you watch it, and you analyze it, and then synthesis. You take all these different pieces and weave them together into your final product. And last, you evaluate not just the final thing you made, but the process itself. How did we do? What could we do better next time? It is full learning cycle. So what does this all mean for you? Let's talk about your role as a class designer, because it's pretty big shift from what you might be used to. In this model, your job changes completely. You are no longer the lecturer at the front of the room. You are a facilitator, a coach who provides the framework, asks good questions, and supports your students as they find their own way. And look at how this philosophy shows up in the grading. Yeah, it's worth 40%. That's a big chunk, but look at the rest. Planning is 30 and reflection is 30. That means 60% of grade is based on the process, the thinking, the planning, and the self-evaluation. It is a powerful message that the journey is just as important as the destination. So when you design one of these, it's a comprehensive process. It usually boils down to four key things. You have to create the detailed document, the actual link to the live WebQuest, an example of what a finished student product might look like, and a personal reflection on the whole design process. Now, this is maybe my favorite part. The single most important step for you, the designer, is to do the quest yourself. You have to actually create the sample product as if you are a student, because it's the ultimate quality control. So it's how you find the confusing instructions, the broken links, the gaps in the resources. You are forced to refine the experience before it ever gets to the student. So when you put all of these pieces together, the careful design, the inquiry process, and the teacher new role, it's all pointing toward one big ultimate goal. The whole philosophy boils down to this. It is student-focused, student-centered, and student-led. So the entire framework is built from the ground up to give your student a voice, to give them choices, and to empower them to take real ownership of their learning. So the whole thing is not just about memorizing some content for a test. The real goal is way bigger. It is metacognitive. By going through this structured process again and again, students develop the skills they need to teach themselves. So eventually they learn how to learn, and that's a skill that they will use for the rest of their life. It is so much more than just a fancy project format. It is a really powerful way to teach in our digital world. It challenges all of us to rethink how we use technology, and more importantly, how we empower our students. I will just leave you with this one question. What quest will you design for your learners?